Okay, so I mean, you and I kind of like obviously your blog is much more successful than mine, but like I started my first blog at like 2014 during the like the Victor Pride Cernovich era of blogging and built my thing up, and then I kind of went off and started down a completely different path. But I still have the blog. You, however, you kept putting out your blog articles, more and more blog articles, growing your social media. So for all the people that claim, because this kind of builds upon, I guess, the Life Math Money podcast we did, for everybody that claims that blogging is dead, what would you say to that? Because obviously you're putting out blog articles and you're doing all these big interviews, big talks, dropping all these products, you're killing it. So obviously you still see a reason to have a blog. So what can you say to those
Well,
people?
yeah, so people say, blogging is dead because blogging is slow. It is
Okay.
much slower than a social media platform.
Mhm.
But the thing about writing an article, right? So before we even say writing an article, let's talk about kind of what you get from social media. You put a post out, it goes
Mhm.
out very quick, people see it. The half-life of a tweet is like 18 to 24 minutes. And for the people who don't know what that is, that
Jeez.
is that is like, all the engagement your tweet will get, you usually, unless it's viral, you usually have all that half of that engagement within the first half an hour, 18 to 24 minutes. Okay.
Jeez.
I think Instagram is a little longer. I think it's like almost 4 hours, but I can't be sure. But my point is that whenever you have a social media post, time is working against you.
Mhm.
The longer it's on there, the less people see it. With a website, it is the complete opposite. When you put an article out, it will initially do almost nothing unless you share it. But it takes a while for the computer, the algorithm, to figure out what it is and show it to people. And
Mhm.
the standard for creating an article is a lot higher. But if you hit all the boxes, you have a piece of content. Like for example, I have 182,000 followers on Twitter and like
Mhm.
65,000 on IG. So to make the numbers easy, I have will round down relatively significantly and say I have 200,000 followers on social media because I'm sure some
Mhm.
of those overlap. My website, by comparison, does about 35,000 visitors per month,
Mhm.
but I don't have to ever post anything on my site. Like if I just stopped posting, I might slip a little bit, but that's all SEO organically driven traffic. That's people looking for
Mhm.
things that I wrote about. They find me, then they follow down the rabbit hole and they discover me, and then come follow me on other my social medias or buy my book or whatever. So
Mhm.
a website is just different because it's taken me almost 10 years to get to that number, and now it's really growing, but it's solid too. And that's the other thing. I'm making arguments for blogging basically, but it's solid too. I mean, because tomorrow, maybe not, I'm sure it wouldn't be that sudden, but Twitter can
Mhm.
do anything from shut down to change the algorithm to
Yeah.
ban you. We've seen all these things happen. But your website exists as an entity on its own, and should a new social media platform pop up, the emails you've collected as a result of having that blog, you can just send people and go follow me here. Or when people discover you, you can just put that new icon up on your site and tell them to follow you there.
Mhm.
It really is this kind of standalone mecha thing that works differently than social media. Social media is a great tool. I have cut my teeth there. It's made me a decent amount of money, and I would
Mhm.
be remiss to say that it is useless. But it's only one half of the puzzle.
Right.
If you have both, then what you have, it is one, it's really hard to move me off my square if I take over a certain keyword or idea because it gets reinforced. People come to my article, then they follow
Mhm.
me, or people follow me and they discover my website, and then they're like, oh, this is here, and share, and all this stuff gets linked through. That spreads the idea of Ed Latimore. Like I mean, I've done a lot of articles, interviews, probably more interviews than someone of my level of fame necessitates. But a
Mhm.
lot of that is because, it's very easy to find out who I am and what I've done and see I have more than to see I'm more than just a talking head on social media is a better
Right.
way, is a good way to put it. And that's the other thing a blog is. It's a very accessible, we'll call it proof of work, proof of concept. If
Yeah.
I've got an art, if I've been writing about this stuff for years and it comes up in search engines, I probably have some authority on it. And that
Right.
authority goes a long way in getting people to trust you, to buy your products. It makes
Mhm.
it easy for people to find you. And then if they want to partner and work with you, it makes it easier. There are just so many benefits to having that along with a strong social media presence.
Right. So something actually you told me ages ago by this point, it's probably like 2018, 2019, was like, look at your blog as like a body of work. And I've leveraged that body of work to initially get me into the freelancing game. Like I used to write blog articles for people. I used to write adverts for people. I even started doing web design for a short amount of time. And that was all because I had a blog. And could you go into, for anybody that doesn't necessarily want to just monetize their blog, from a body of work standpoint, could you talk on that a little bit more? Because that's super powerful for really anybody. Like if you want to do speeches, if you want to sell books, or in my case, if you want to be a freelancer and start getting clients.
Yeah. So a lot of people know who Dave Perel is, but a lot of people may not. But Dave Perel he runs Rite of Passage, is a great writing cohort. Every launch they do about 1 million, and they run probably more than 1 million. They do like 2 or 3 cohorts per year, and he's a great writer, and he's got this great website and everything, right? But he's built his mailing list and he's built kind of his clientele base because they found him because of the quality of the writing. He demonstrates an expertise. Okay.
Right.
If you've been talking about something, forget the SEO standpoint because it's weird. My website does a lot more traffic than David, but he has a different approach. But what he has is he's demonstrated a commitment over time, and it's a demonstration of his thought process. And like the way I described it, it's this body of work. Because if you write about topics and you do them the justice they should get, you produce a piece of very useful content that just showed that exposes you to a lot of other people and forces that can work on your behalf. And it doesn't matter what you want to do, just showing that you have done something for a while and it stands, people can look at it and see, it shows that you have really a proof of life, proof of concept. It works really well for you. You know, think of it this way. If you were like dating, or you're like out there looking for somebody to date and they didn't have any social media presence whatsoever, we're at a point in the world where that's kind of weird.
Yeah, red flag.
Yeah, you'd be like, okay, like it's one thing to not be active, but if you're like 30 and you don't have any social media presence, or even 25, right, in that range, it's like, you know, why not? Now, it's one thing if you have a different name and you have a connect for friends, but if you're like, oh, I just don't have it, I don't use any of them, I'm gonna be like, something is very off here. Likewise, if you tell me that you can do X, Y, or Z, and you're the person to trust, and I should follow you and hire you, or bring you on to speak at my event, any number of things, and I go to look you up and all I see are social media posts, I'm going to likely be a little questionable. You know, I'm going to look at other people who might be worthwhile to hire. And if they have a website, it doesn't even have to be super like fleshed out and developed like mine. But if they have a website that's a euro with a few articles where I can get a feel for how they think and communicate, as opposed to these bites of social media that don't necessarily reward the clearest thought process, but the most engaging one, and that doesn't always overlap, then you end up losing when this is something that you should just win at. There's no reason to not win here, or to at least try. Like I look at threads on Twitter. Threads are the big thing. I just did a workshop on threads, and they're great. But the next thing I say is, why not take that thread, flesh it out a little more, and turn it into a blog article? Because now you've got Tom working on your side. Because once that thread is seen, that's it. And it's only, not only is that it, generally speaking, for the Twitter audience, it's only going to be seen by people on Twitter, okay? And not everyone is on Twitter. It's actually one of the smallest platforms, okay? But if you put it on the internet, it starts gaining keywords and can be seen and discovered by a lot of other people. And I'm just like, why wouldn't you do that? Why would you not take your ideas and make them? Because look, I put a lot of energy and effort into my ideas and my clarity. And I go, okay, more people need to be able to see and find this. Because I'm at the stage, right, where I'm a lot more sure than I was even 6 months ago, how I'm going to really, where I can win, right? But I know that having an audience and distribution, that makes it a lot easier no matter where I decide I want to win, you know? So having a mailing list and having a website, that makes it a lot easier, especially if the website that gets, that gets 35,000 visitors a month. That's organic. That's before I share it on my social media. It's a pretty big deal.
That's massive. Yeah.